After Mom passed, it was just me and Dad, depending on each other. I've always had poor health, and people used to taunt me, calling me a sickly doomed child. He kneeled by my bedside, making a promise. I swear, I'll get you the best treatment no matter what. You'll never suffer again. Eventually, he became a powerful CEO, going so far as to buy an entire private villa just so I could recover in peace. However, his assistant assumed I was his mistress. She came in with a group of security guards and surrounded me. So, you're the cripple who's been seducing Mr. Johnson. Let's see if you can still act high and mighty after I'm done with you. She kicked over my wheelchair, yanked me by the hair, scratched up my face, and finally cut off my hand. Barely clinging to life, I lay there until Dad came back. She held up my severed hand, presenting it to him. Mr. Johnson, this was a spy sent by a rival company. I took care of her for you. I had barely been discharged from the hospital when Mom's anniversary approached. However, suddenly, Dad announced he'd be flying overseas for an important business deal. Seeing how downcast I looked, he patted my head. I'll be back in 2 days. I promise. Since Mom passed away, Dad had been constantly on the move, working hard to pay for my treatments. Over the years, he built a business empire worth billions, ensuring I had the best care possible. However, the more successful he became, the busier he got. Now, he might even miss Mom's anniversary. I could only nod. Dad was so busy with work. I didn't want him worrying about me too. When the day arrived, I heard a loud commotion at the door. Mr. Johnson hasn't been seen in 2 days. Let's see which little vixen thinks she can steal his attention behind my back. Exactly. She needs a lesson. Let her see what happens when you mess with Mr. Johnson. Agreed. She should know who Mr. Johnson really cares about. Their voices echoed through the closed door. Before I could react, a loud bang sounded as the door was kicked open. Leading the pack was a woman, her eyes zeroing in on me in my wheelchair. She took a deep breath and said, "So, you're the cripple who's trying to seduce Mr. Johnson?" I blinked, and settled by how much her face resembled my mom's. "Who are you?" She sneered. "Who am I? I'm the one who to put you in your place." Her expression turned dark as she glared at me. "Do you even know who Mr. Johnson is? Did you think you could just charm him? I'll show you what happens to delusional brats like you." I frowned, searching my memory for who she was. Then it clicked. This was Marion Smith, Dad's new secretary. I had seen her picture when Dad was hiring her. Her resemblance to Mom had struck me immediately. Dad's previous secretary, Joanna Lively, had even warned me before leaving. She told me to watch out for Marion, hinting that she might have plans for Dad. However, I'd ended up in the hospital and hadn't had a chance to meet her. Realizing this is trouble, I kept my tone calm. "You've got the wrong idea. Things aren't what they seem." Before I could finish, she slapped me hard across the face. "Did I say you could speak?" My head snapped to the side. A ringing filled my ears, and my stomach churned. "Who do you think you are, talking to me like that?" She grabbed a fistful of my hair, forcing me to look up at her. "You've got some nerve, don't you? Johnson has me by his side, but you still come here to seduce him. You must have a death wish." Behind her, a woman, Annie A. Mason, chimed in. "Exactly. Don't you get it? Our Marion is going to be Mrs. Johnson one day. Who do you think you are?" The whole group glared at me like they were ready to tear me apart. So, Joanna had been right. This woman wasn't just a secretary. She was out to win over my dad. Knowing it wouldn't help to fight back right now, I swallowed my anger and tried to explain calmly. "I'm not Mr. Johnson's mistress. I'm his daughter." Marion let out a sharp laugh, as if I told a joke. "You expect me to believe that? You look way too much like me to be his daughter." Couldn't even come up with a better lie. The truth was that I looked just like my mom and could practically her double. Marion, on the other hand, only had a strong resemblance. Another woman behind her, Rachel Lawrence, pulled on her sleeve. "Marion, I think Mr. Johnson does have a daughter. She might be telling the truth." Marion scoffed. "A daughter? Who doesn't know Mr. Johnson single? All these years, have any of you seen him with a kid?" Due to my illness, I'd spent most of my life in hospitals, and with Dad's busy schedule, he rarely had time to visit. Only his previous secretaries knew I existed, since they handled a lot of my arrangements. However, Marion was different. She'd been hired while I was in the hospital, and when I got out recently, Dad took time off to be with me. We hadn't met yet. "Marion, what if she got surgery to look like you? Maybe she saw how valued you were by Mr. Johnson." Enemy A came beside her, staring at me with disdain. "She just wants to replace you." Marion's expression darkened, and in a flash she kicked me hard in the stomach, knocking me over, wheelchair and all.